G'day. If this is the first video of mine you're watching, you've landed right in the middle of a series we're doing on creating a fully parametric custom door in GDL. The clue is in the title. If you haven't watched the previous installments, then I recommend you do so you know what I'm talking about. I'm Bruce from Barking Dog BIM, and I help people get the most out of their BIM platform, in this case, Archicad. As I said, I'm partway through creating a fully parametric custom door in GDL for Archicad. We've done the door geometry with the handle and the opening lines. Now I'm going to add to the usability of the door by adding some dynamic hotspots, both length editing and angle editing hotspots. Because I believe it's important to build on work you've done before, we will actually utilize work we've done in a previous video, number 35, dynamic hotspots. If you haven't watched that one, I recommend you go and do that too. So we'll assess where we're at. It's looking pretty good. Of course, the benefits of what we've just done, even though you can see it takes a considerably longer setup time, is that now I have complete accuracy in my model. My geometry matches my sizes, and that will be reflected in any schedules I pull off, any elevations I draw. It's all accurate and it's quick to update. All parametric. We have a look at the Graphisoft door. It's got a couple of dynamic hotspots here to make editing a bit easier, just on some key things, so we'll add those as well. I'll add a couple of dynamic hotspots for these side steps here. The first thing you need with a dynamic hotspot is a parameter to edit. You cannot attach a dynamic hotspot to a variable. It has to be a parameter. We're looking for frame step right and frame step left. And the logical place to put these, if I fold all, which is a pretty neat thing with this new editor, collapses all of my script. I can see the structure of my script. So I've got my header script here. So we want to put these hotspots under the frame subroutine. You can see it's all collapsed here. You can put them where you like. I'll put them up here just before we draw the frame. Makes sense to me that if you're going to change a parameter, you do it before you draw what that parameter is related to. Doesn't really matter, but it makes sense structurally to my mind. And instead of reinventing the script every time, copy from something you've done before and done successfully. I've just opened the object I completed in video 35 about dynamic hotspots. So I'll just copy out what I need from here. Paste it in place. Have a look at that video if you want to know what this is all about. We'll do the right one first. And I want the hotspot to be here. So that means my stretchy hotspot is going to be here. My base hotspot's going to be here. And my reference hotspot will be down off the bottom of the door somewhere. I want to add X minus A2. I'll just turn the axes back on so that we can keep ourselves oriented around the door. There it is. So I want to X positive is that way. So I want to add negative X. And this is my A, half A width, this line here. So that's where I want to come to. Half of my A. What am I adjusting? I'm adjusting my frame step right. That's the parameter I'm adjusting. I need to confirm I have a unique ID in my master script, otherwise this won't work. I'll get an error, and I do. I have a unique ID declared. My base hotspot, because I already have a hotspot there for my A parameter, my A and B parameters. These are the automatic hotspots created by Archicad. I don't want to show my base hotspot, so that's 128, and that'll be at 0, 0, 0. My moving hotspot will be in the Y, my frame step R. My reference hotspot will be -1 in the Y. Let's see if that works. There's my hotspot. And it's working the way I want. Now I can break this. Can I break it? And do funky things with it. So to prevent that, you add a values statement to your parameter script. And with your values statements, try and keep them in the same order you have your parameters declared. Just makes for easier reading of your script. What's the range? I want it to be greater than my GS frame width. And I want it to be less than B, which is here, minus this radius. So if I check this, it needs to be greater than 50 and less than, no, I'll just add this to the left as well. So now when I stretch it, I can't break it. Can't get any smaller to break it there, and I can't get any bigger to break it there. Good, that works. Now add it to the left side, which is just a case of copying and changing what you need to change. So instead of changing the parameter frame step right, I'm changing the parameter frame step left. And instead of adding minus A divided by 2, it'll be plus A divided by 2. Add, put in my dynamic hotspot, delete. There it is. So that's that one. Once again, because this is all parametric, this is pretty easy to change. Comparing this with what I would have to have done for these save as methods, it's a lot easier. A bit more setup. So worth it. It's just so worth it. And now to add my door opening angle, that will be GS open 3D, opening angle in 3D. Whereabouts do I want to add it? I want to add it before I call my leaf or before I draw my leaf. So I can see in my header script there's nothing before I call my leaf. It's called directly out of my header script. So I'll come down to my leaf. And here's my first transformation here. This is where I rotate to set this angle. So I'll add it before there. Again, copy from something you've done before that you know is working. Saves you having to reinvent the wheel. Saves you a bit of time. And just change what you need to change. It'll be B divided by 2 and nothing in the Z. So X, I want to come across to here and back to the edge of my leaf. In my Y, halfway up the door, and Z, stay where it is. The parameter I want to change is GS open 3D. So Alt select all of those. Boom. Change them all at once. For my base hotspot, let's remind ourselves what is the base hotspot. Base hotspot is the one that doesn't move. Center hotspot, well, that's self-explanatory, and moving hotspot is that one there. So base hotspot will be this point here, which will be minus leaf width, and I want to hide that. Moving hotspot is where I get my trigonometry involved. My center hotspot will be right in the middle, right at my 0, and my reference hotspot needs to be on the Y axis, not the Z axis. So my reference hotspot, remember, it's the axle of a wheel. So my door is spinning around that axis, spinning around this axis here. So I want my reference hotspot to be pointing either up or down. Which way? Not sure yet. So that'll be the Y axis. Okay, now this probably won't be right. First try, you've got something wrong, either the cos or the sine mixed up or the reference mixed up. But as long as the guts are in place, it should be okay. Let's have a look. Here it is. All right, so it's having some effect. Let's do the reference hotspot in the opposite direction first. I think I might have my GS Open 3D. I've got to think about this every single time. So to find the X is a cos. So the X should be a cosine. I just had to figure it out. Do a bit of playing around. So I put in an axis here. Get my head around what was going on. The X is that way, the Z is that way, the Y is that way. And I've got my 3D angle working. And what I had to do for that is I had to have a negative cosine for the X and a negative sine for the Z and a 0 for the Y, because of how the axes are oriented at the corner of my leaf. My reference axis was -1, so it's going down this way, and that ensures that this spins the correct way. Now, I can change my angle a little too far, so I want to limit that in my parameter script. And I want it to be greater than or equal to 0 degrees. And I actually want it to be less than 180. I don't want to be able to open it fully to 180. Yeah, greater than or equals to 0, less than 180. So now I can't make it do silly things. All right. Let's get rid of that axis call. Turn that one off. At the top, one of the things I like to do with my hotspots is to line up the comments. It makes it easy to decipher what's going on. There's my door. Anything else you can think of to do in the 3D? I think that's pretty good. It's what we're after. And you can see when I change my step, the Warhol updates to suit. I can turn off my indicator light. Can adjust my frame radius, my jam radius. And it updates everything to suit. I can update this center. Fully parametric. Responds to the MVOs. Fantastic. And I can adjust my handle on the door panel, handle height, and handle position. Not that I'd do that, but the capacity is there. So the next step is getting your plan sorted out. So I'll do that next. All right, done. Now I've shown dynamic hotspots before, but now you can see how you can copy and paste code you've already done and adapt it to be useful in your particular object that you're currently scripting. We're pretty much done with the 3D part of the door. There might be some mopping up here and there, but the 3D is only part of the job. If you can't get the plan representation working efficiently across all your drawing packages, then you haven't really made your life easier. You haven't really leveraged Archicad to do the work for you. Next up, we'll start getting into the 2D representation. which is actually more involved than you might suspect. Don't underestimate the 2D. I'll see you there.